When my daughter sold my husband's memory for cash, I realized love can expire. The clinic smelled faintly of disinfectant and quiet despair. I sat on the plastic chair, pretending to read a magazine, my heart still somewhere between grief and disbelief. My name is Maria Collins. I'm 70 years old, a widow for 6 months, and until that afternoon, I thought I still had a family. The nurse called my name, but before I could move, my phone buzzed. The screen flashed a name that used to make me smile. Clara. "Mom," she said, voice clipped, practiced. "Daniel and I are moving to Europe tomorrow. I've already sold the beach house and your truck. We needed the money." My throat went dry. "You sold them?" "It's for our future. You'll understand one day. Bye." A soft click, then silence. 45 years of motherhood ended in a 2-minute call. For a long moment, I didn't breathe. Around me, people coughed, papers rustled, a child cried. Life went on as if the universe hadn't just folded in half. I wanted to cry, but instead, I smiled, because my daughter didn't know everything. The doctor said I was healthy for my age. "Just rest, Mrs. Collins." Rest. As if a mother could rest when her child had just sold her memories. Outside, the late autumn wind bit through my scarf. Without the truck, I waited for the bus, clutching my handbag like an anchor. The beach house flashed through my mind. White curtains, Henry's humming, Clara's laughter echoing through salt-stung air. Now both gone, turned into numbers on a screen. People say betrayal feels like anger. They're wrong. It feels like quiet, like the world suddenly holding its breath around you. As the bus rolled away, city lights smeared across the window like memories that refused to stay still. That's when I remembered something I had buried under grief. 3 days before he died, Henry had handed me a manila envelope. "Maria," he'd said, sitting by the window, sunlight soft on his face, "if something happens to me, keep this in your dresser. Open it only when you're ready." I never was, until now. When I stepped inside the house, the silence met me like an old friend. Henry's chair waited by the window, his reading glasses still folded on the side table. My hand hovered over the dresser drawer. A whisper inside me said, "Don't open it." But grief never listens to warnings. I pulled the drawer open. There it was, the envelope, "For Maria," written in Henry's careful hand. I sat on the edge of the bed, heart pounding so loudly I could hear it echo. The paper was yellowed at the corners, sealed tight. For a second, I almost put it back, but curiosity has a pulse of its own. I slid a finger under the seal and opened it. Inside were documents, thick, official-looking papers, and a handwritten letter, Henry's handwriting, strong, certain, like he was still here, speaking straight through the ink. "My dearest Maria, if you're reading this, it means my journey has ended before yours. Forgive me for keeping secrets. I wanted you free from worry. Over the years, I invested every bit we saved, quietly. The beach house is only a fragment of what we own. You are the sole heir of H. Collins Holdings. You're richer than you imagine, but promise me you'll use it wisely. And remember, if Clara ever loses her way, stay strong. Some lessons only life can teach." My vision blurred. I placed a trembling hand over my chest, half expecting Henry's warmth to be there. Deeds, stock certificates, bank records, property titles spread across the bed like a secret world map. But one detail stopped me cold. Among the signatures and seals was another name, one I didn't recognize. A. Davenport. Who was that? A lawyer? A partner? Someone Henry never mentioned? A shiver ran through me. This wasn't just savings and smart choices. Something larger was buried here, something Henry never had the chance to explain. I closed my eyes and breathed slowly. My daughter thought she had taken everything, but in truth, she'd only opened the first door. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I walked through each room, fingertips brushing the walls Henry had painted himself. Every object carried a memory. Our wedding photo, the chipped mug he refused to throw away, the smell of coffee that still clung to the curtains. And then, somewhere between sorrow and realization, I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. Clara thought she had left me with nothing, but maybe nothing was the best disguise I could ever wear. I wasn't going to call the police or scream or beg for justice. I was going to be patient, because the lessons taught by pain never fade. Henry had planned ahead, and now I would too. Moonlight touched Henry's chair like a silent promise. For the first time since his death, I didn't feel small. I felt powerful, quietly, invisibly powerful. Thank you, my love, for still taking care of me. But the next morning, my phone buzzed again, and the message from my daughter wasn't meant for me to see.
My pulse quickened. Someone who knew. Someone he trusted. I hesitated, then dialed. It rang twice. A calm female voice answered. Davenport and Associates, this is Amelia. Ms. Davenport, I began. My name is Maria Collins. I believe you handled some legal affairs from my husband, Henry Collins? Silence, then a quiet inhale. Yes, Mrs. Collins, I've been expecting your call. Expecting? Henry instructed that you'd reach out only when you were ready, she said smoothly. I'm glad you finally did. What exactly did my husband leave me, Ms. Davenport? That's something better discussed in person, she replied. Some matters aren't meant for the phone. 2 hours later, I sat in her office. Oak shelves, soft light, a window that looked toward the sea. It felt too calm, too curated. Amelia Davenport was younger than I'd pictured, mid-30s, polite smile. Her smile was kind, but her eyes, they lingered, as if she already knew what I hadn't said yet. She offered tea, then slid a folder across the table. Inside were the same documents Henry had left me, but expanded. Properties, shares, entire accounts under my name. I had no idea, I whispered. He built this quietly, to protect you, from the world, and sometimes even from those closest to you. Her last words hung heavy. He knew about Clara, didn't he? She didn't answer right away. He suspected her judgment could one day be clouded. He trusted you to act if that time came. I exhaled slowly. That time has come. Without a word, she handed me another sealed envelope. Henry said you'd need this when your heart started asking questions again. My pulse thudded. Another letter. As I left her office, I glanced back. She was already on the phone, her voice low, her smile gone. Back home, I sat by Henry's chair, sunlight resting on its armrest like a familiar hand. For a while, I just stared at the envelope. Then, finally, I opened it. Maria, if life has brought you back here, it means love has tested you again. Truth often hides behind the faces we trust most. When that day arrives, don't confront, observe. Patience will reveal more than anger ever could. H. His words cut clean, like glass again, but this time they didn't wound, they cleared. I read it twice. Tears blurred the ink. He had known. Somehow, he had known. "How did you know, Henry?" I whispered. The house didn't answer, only wind brushing the window pane, soft but steady. If I wanted truth, I couldn't rush it. I had to watch, wait, listen. That evening, Clara called. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Mom," she said brightly, "just checking in. Did you take your pills? I left them on the counter." Too cheerful, too smooth. The same tone she'd used as a child, hiding a broken vase behind her back. "Yes, dear. I found them," I said softly. "You sound busy." "Oh, just packing. Movers everywhere. It's chaos." "And Daniel? Is he excited for Europe?" A pause. Then a shaky laugh. "Of course. Why wouldn't he be?" "Because, Clara, I read a message that wasn't meant for me." "Take care of yourself, Mom," she said quickly. "We'll talk soon." When the call ended, I sat in silence again. Only this time, silence didn't hurt. It hummed with intention. The mask was slipping, and I intended to watch it fall. That night, I took out a notebook of my own. If Henry built a secret life in silence, I could too. Page 1, A. Davenport, trust. Page 2, Clara, observe. Page 3, unknown contact, find out. Each line I wrote felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Outside, the moon rose higher, silver lights spilling through the curtains onto Henry's chair. Moonlight touched it like a promise. Watch, don't confront. That was Henry's advice. And so I would watch. Because if Clara thought she'd fooled me once, she was about to learn something her father always knew. I notice everything. The next day, a stranger knocked on my door, holding a letter with Henry's handwriting on it, dated after his death. Morning sunlight crept across the curtains, soft, golden, deceitful. It looked peaceful, but peace doesn't visit this house anymore. I woke to the buzz of my phone on the nightstand. Half awake, I reached for it, still caught between dreams of Henry's voice and the echo of Clara's goodbye. One unread message. From Clara. My heart skipped. Maybe she regretted it. Maybe she realized what she'd done. I opened it, and the air around me turned to glass. For a second, the phone felt heavier, like it knew what was coming. Transfer confirmed. I told her she's fine without the house. She has no clue. Don't worry, we leave tonight. Then another line. Delete this after reading. My throat went dry. I tried to breathe, but the air cut like shards. It wasn't a message for me. It was meant for someone else. My finger froze on the screen. My name wasn't even there. Her, she, was me. Her, no clue. That was the woman who raised her. And whoever she was talking to wasn't Daniel. A faint notification ping still echoed in my ears, like it wanted to laugh. I read the message again, slower this time, my hands shaking until the phone slipped and hit the carpet. Henry's words from his letter whispered back, "If Clara ever loses her way, stay strong." Well, Henry, she hasn't just lost her way, she's paving one made of lies. I brewed tea just to keep my hands from trembling. The kettle's whistle screamed too loud, like it knew something I didn't. If Clara wanted a new life, fine, but she would not erase mine. And that's when I remembered the name from Henry's papers, A. Davenport. And that's when I realized this name wasn't just a lawyer's, it was a link Henry never wanted Clara to find. After breakfast, I went to Henry's study, untouched since the funeral. The air smelled of old paper and faint cologne. I pulled open his drawer, files, receipts, a small black notebook. There it was, A. Davenport, legal trustee, and beneath it, a phone number written in Henry's neat script. The morning air felt thick, waiting. Then came the knock. 3 slow taps, deliberate, too calm. I froze mid-reach for my coffee. Steam curled from the cup beside Henry's empty chair, fading like breath on glass. Another knock, measured, intentional. I opened the door. A man stood there, coat damp with mist, eyes unreadable. In his hand, an envelope. "Mrs. Collins," he said softly. "I was asked to deliver this, personally." "By whom?" "Amelia Davenport's office. Said you'd understand." He placed it carefully in my hand. His glove brushed my fingers. Cold, leather, quick pressure. And then he turned, walking back into the fog without looking once behind him. When I closed the door, I could still smell the rain he carried in. On the envelope, in Henry's handwriting, "For Maria," and beneath it, a date, 2 weeks after his death. The house went silent except for the faint ticking of the hall clock. Each tick felt like a heartbeat I couldn't claim. I sat. The paper was heavier than paper should be. When I broke the seal, a whisper of static escaped, like trapped air exhaling. Inside were 2 sheets, a letter, and a photograph. "My dearest Maria, if this reaches you, the world has already begun to shift. I left something behind, something I couldn't risk explaining before. You may think you know what we built, but there's a part I never wanted in our daughter's hands. I feared her ambition more than her mistakes. If you have spoken to Amelia, she has likely told you what I owned. What she hasn't told you is what she owns. There is another account, hidden, under the name Clara Holdings Ltd. It shouldn't exist, but it does. I trusted someone once who wasn't you. If she tries to take what's yours, you'll know where to start. And Maria, not every stranger will be one. H. For one heartbeat, I didn't move. Then, the photos slipped free. Henry, younger, smiling beside a woman. The woman beside him wasn't me. For a second, I forgot to breathe. The air thickened, the sound of my own pulse louder than rain. The edges of the photo blurred, not from time, but from me. Her face, Amelia Davenport. I called her number. "Davenport and Associates? Amelia Davenport, please." A click. Then her voice, steady, too careful. "Mrs. Collins, I was just about to call you. Then you'll save us both time. A man came by, with a letter from Henry." A pause that hummed through the line. "I see. It was dated after his death." Silence. Just the faint rustle of papers on her end. She said, "Finally, it's best, I think, if we speak in person again." "No, not until you tell me who delivered it." "I don't know." Too quick, too crisp. And in that silence, I finally heard it, the sound of another mask breaking. 1 second pause, I hung up. Rain began tapping against the glass. Each drop landed like a metronome, marking thoughts I didn't want. I half smiled, remembering how Henry hid spare keys like secrets, always beneath, never above. Maybe there was something left beneath still. In his study, drawers whispered open and shut. Then, a hollow thud. A small brass key taped under the bottom panel. Tag HCH Vault. Private. Of course he had one. That night, the wind shifted. Through it came the faint hum of an engine outside. I parted the curtain. A dark sedan idled near the mailbox. A silhouette sat inside, motionless. The curve of his shoulders, familiar, the same calm stillness as the man who'd handed me the letter. It drove away, but the fear stayed parked inside me. At dawn, I tried calling Clara. No answer. So I texted, "Call me when you can." Nothing. By evening, a reply, "Busy, Mom. Everything's fine. Please don't worry. Love you." The words looked right, but they felt wrong. It wasn't her. I could feel it, even through the screen. I dialed the number engraved on the vault tag. "Private storage and trust. How may I assist you?" "This is Maria Collins. My husband, Henry Collins, had a vault under HCH Holdings." "Yes, Mrs. Collins. The account is active. You're listed as sole beneficiary." "In my name?" "Yes. Mr. Collins updated it 2 years ago. You can access it any time. Tomorrow morning." After the call, I opened my notebook. Page 4. Vault. Tomorrow. Moonlight traced a silver path across the floor, brushing Henry's chair. For one heartbeat, it looked like he was sitting there again, listening. "Whatever you left me, Henry," I whispered, "I'll find it, and I'll find the truth with it." Outside, near the driveway, a shadow moved. Same build, same coat, watching, waiting. And when I blinked, he was gone. At the vault the next morning, I unlocked Henry's box. What I found inside didn't belong to him. It belonged to Clara.
At home, I set the USB beside a cup of cooling tea. So small, so dangerous. Should I open it? Henry's words pulsed in my head. Don't trust the lawyers. Find the name beneath Davenport. I breathed once, powered the laptop, and inserted the drive. The screen flickered. A folder appeared. CH, private. Invoices, transfers, contracts. Every file stamped Amelia Davenport. At the bottom, a single glowing document. Inheritance agreement. Draft. I hesitated. Sometimes knowing is worse. Then I opened it. Beneficiary, Clara Collins. Executor, Amelia Davenport. Witness signature, Henry Collins. The date beside his name, 2 days after he died. For a moment, my mind refused to understand what I was seeing. My hands went still. Even the rain outside seemed to stop, listening. A low creak rippled through the hallway. Footsteps. I shut the laptop, heartbeat hammering. Who's there? No answer. Only the slow groan of floorboards, settling or moving. The silence grew thick, the kind that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. Then, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Stop looking. I dropped the phone. The sound it made was too loud for how quiet the room was. The message vanished, but the reflection of its words still clung to my face, blue, cold, guilty. By morning, the rain had cleared. The air smelled of wet stone and old secrets. I carried the USB to a computer shop downtown. A bell rang when I entered. My shoulders tensed. The technician looked up.
Recover deleted files? Yes. As he worked, I kept glancing at the door. Each bell ring felt sharper than the last. He frowned. Half these files are encrypted. These look like property transfers. Big ones. How long? A couple hours. When he returned, his face was pale. Mrs. Collins, you should see this. On screen, a scanned check for $1.2 million. Signed by Clara Holdings Limited. Payee, A. Davenport. He scrolled. Property deeds. The beach house. Authorization, Clara Collins. The room tilted. Every clue Henry left had led here. To her, the daughter I thought I was protecting had already chosen her side. I'd spent my life protecting her name, and now it was the one written on every lie. I thanked him, took the drive, and stepped into the fading light. The wind carried salt from the sea, the scent that once clung to Clara's hair after summer swims. Now it smelled like loss. Across the street, the black sedan waited, engine off, windows tinted. I caught my reflection in the glass, and for a heartbeat, it moved a second after I did. I met its stare and whispered, "You're not a stranger anymore." But the voice that whispered back wasn't mine. Morning came gray and hollow, and by noon, I'd wish I never opened that vault. Somewhere, a kettle clicked off, forgotten. I drove in silence, the road slick with leftover rain. Every streetlight blinked on the windshield, like tired eyes watching me pass. The vault sat 15 miles out of town, hidden behind a warehouse too ordinary to notice. A sign read, "Private storage and trust, authorized access only." Only one car waited near the fence, a black sedan. Same shape, same stillness. Inside, the receptionist smiled too brightly. "Mrs. Collins, we've been expecting you." That phrase again. Only this time, I didn't ask who told them. She handed me a clipboard. "Mr. Gray will escort you to your box." A tall man appeared, charcoal suit, keys whispering in his hand. He smiled, but his eyes didn't. "Right this way, ma'am." The air cooled as we descended. Fluorescent lights buzzed above. Metal and dust lingered. A smell like time itself refusing to move. We stopped at door 312. Mr. Gray slid my key into the lock. "Take your time," he said. His tone was polite, but something about it felt rehearsed. The lock clicked open. His shoes left no sound as he turned away. Inside the box, a black envelope and a small velvet pouch tied with string. No documents, no jewelry, just those two things. The air tasted faintly of metal. To whoever finds this, if you're reading, truth has already started to rot. This vault, this silence, they all belong to Clara Holdings Ltd. The company exists, yes, but not as my creation. It was hers. Maria, if it's you reading, forgive me. I tried to stop her quietly. I thought money would keep her safe. Instead, it built her a door I can't close. She's working with someone who knows everything about me and about you. Don't trust the lawyers. Don't trust the name Davenport. There's another name beneath it. Find it before she finds you. H. The paper smelled faintly of Henry's aftershave, like it still carried his breath. I untied the velvet pouch. A small USB slid into my palm, cool, weightless. A silver C engraved on one side. On the back, 3 letters etched shallow. H, arrow, M. Henry to Maria. The metal left a chill on my skin that didn't fade. Everything okay, Mrs. Collins? Mr. Gray asked. Yes, I lied, slipping both items into my purse. As I walked away, his keys jingled once behind me, soft, deliberate, and something in me filed the sound away for later. Driving home, the world blurred into gray and silver streaks. I thought the hardest part would be opening the vault. I was wrong. Headlights appeared in the mirror, a black sedan. It stayed behind me for 8 miles, never too close, never far. Then it flashed its headlights once, just once, like acknowledgement. When I turned onto my street, it slowed, then vanished at the corner, but I still heard the faint hum of its engine long after it was gone.
When I finally sat down, Henry's photo stared from the table, the edges curling. "What did you start, Henry?" I whispered. The house answered with its usual creaks, but one of them came from the back door. I grabbed the phone. No signal. Then, from outside, 3 soft taps. Through the glass, a figure stood in the porch light. Umbrella, coat, calm posture. Not the sedan driver, not a stranger either. Amelia Davenport. I opened the door only halfway. "You shouldn't be here." "I could say the same," she said. Rain slid from her umbrella, pooling between us. "You found the letters?" "I found enough." Her eyes scanned the room like she already knew where everything was. "Then you understand why I need the drive." "What's on it?" "A story your husband should have let die." I stepped back. "He warned me about you." She smiled, tired, almost sad. "Henry warned everyone. He was good at that." Then her tone shifted, low and sharp. "Give me the drive, Maria, before she does." "She?" Amelia's eyes flicked toward the dark street. "You really don't know who you're up against, do you?" For a second, I wondered if she'd ever really been there. Before I could answer, headlights flared to life through the window, white, blinding. Amelia's umbrella fell to the floor. When I looked back up, she was gone. Only the echo of footsteps retreating into the rain. The moment I locked the door, the phone buzzed. Same number. This time, I hit speaker and set it on the table. "Maria," the voice said. Female, soft, familiar. "Clara?" A pause. Then, "Mom, don't be mad." Relief and terror collided in my chest. "Where are you?" "I can't say." Her voice shook. "Everything Dad did, he thought he was saving you, but he was saving himself." "Clara, what are you talking about?" "They're making me sign something. If I don't, they'll take everything, your house, your account." The line crackled. Then a different voice cut in. Male, cold, end the call. Her breath caught. "Mom, if they ask about the USB." Click. I kept shouting her name long after the line went dead, as if saying it enough times might pull her back. For a long moment, I didn't move. Only the clock ticked, each second slicing the room in half. Then I slid the USB into my pocket and grabbed Henry's old coat from the chair. If Clara was this deep, I was already late. Outside, rain hit like needles. The street was empty, except for the black sedan parked under the lamp. Engine off, windows dark. I walked past it, heart hammering, waiting for the door to open. It didn't. But as I turned the corner, headlights flared to life. They followed. At the pier, I ducked into an abandoned boathouse. Salt and rust filled the air. I opened the laptop and plugged in the drive. One last time. The password field blinked. I typed the only thing that made sense. CHAN. Access granted. A single audio file appeared. Voice.log 2:37 a.m.
For a second, I thought about closing the laptop and walking away, but truth doesn't let go that easy. I pressed play. Henry's voice again. If you're hearing this, she's closer than you think. Clara doesn't see it yet, but the company was never ours. It was hers before any of us existed. Then a new voice, female, measured, the same one who'd answered my call. End recording. We'll bury this one too. Static rose and swallowed the rest. I closed the laptop. Outside, the sedan's engine idled softly. Somewhere between the waves and the wind, I heard a third sound. 3 slow taps on metal. I looked down. A handprint on the boathouse door. Fresh. The rain wasn't enough to wash it away. I turned off the light and listened to the engine fade into the night, but the taps echoed long after it was gone. The next morning, a package waited on my porch. No address, no sender. Inside was a phone, already ringing, and the caller ID read, Henry Collins.
That night, I called Clara, but the voice that answered wasn't my daughter's. Mrs. Collins, the woman said, calm as glass, this number is monitored now, for everyone's safety. My throat went dry. Who is this? A pause. The kind that isn't silence, it's listening. Then, think of me as the person cleaning up your husband's mess. Click. For the first time since Henry died, I wished he could lie to me one more time. I stood in the kitchen, the kettle still cold from this morning, the air dense with the ghost of boiled water. Outside, rain returned in soft sheets. For a long moment, I simply stared at the phone, waiting for it to ring again. It didn't. Instead, a faint buzz came from the window, streetlights flickering in rhythm with my pulse. I replayed the call in my head, each word settling like ash. Monitored. Safety. They weren't protecting me. They were watching me. At 2 a.m., it rang again. Same number. I answered before the first ring finished. Clara? Static. Then a low male whisper, stop calling this number. Who are you? But the line cracked open into silence, only my own breath echoing back. And under that silence, something else, a faint hum, machinery, like a server room or maybe an office. Then a single phrase, she doesn't know yet. Click. I kept the phone pressed to my ear even after it went dead, as if the silence might give me a clue. Sleep never came. At dawn, I reopened the laptop. The USB drive blinked faintly beside it, as if alive. I clicked the folder again. Hidden files appeared. This time, 5 new ones, timestamps 3 a.m., the same hour as the call. Inside one, a series of emails between Henry and Amelia Davenport. From A. Davenport to H. Collins. If Clara finds out, the entire structure collapses. From H. Collins, then make sure she doesn't. Each email ended with the same digital signature, See Hold Archive. But one attachment refused to open. It required a password. The file name, voice.log. I drove to an electronic shop that specialized in data recovery. The young clerk looked half awake. Audio decryption might take a few hours. I'll wait, I said. Every beep in that shop sounded like someone else's heartbeat. He waved me over. Got something. A black waveform pulsed on screen. Looks like a phone recording. He hit play. Henry's voice, shaky, tired. Maria,
If you ever hear this, she's already inside. Clara doesn't know she's being used. They promised her control, and if Amelia calls you, don't answer." The file ended with a single sound, 3 soft taps. The same pattern from my front door. I froze. "Play it again?" The clerk frowned. Are you okay, ma'am? Just play it." He did. Tap, tap, tap. By the time I reached home, daylight was already fading. The mailbox hung open, empty. But on the doormat lay an envelope. No stamp, no name. Inside, a Polaroid. Me, standing in the vault parking lot that morning. Written across the bottom, "Still looking." My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the photo. My own face stared back, smaller, hunted like I'd already lost. I locked every door, drew every curtain.
The phone kept ringing. Each chime sounded slower, heavier, like it was counting down instead of calling. I stared at the screen. Henry Collins. The name looked wrong, alive again when it shouldn't be. My hand trembled as I picked it up. "Hello?" I whispered. Silence. Then static, deep and low, like breathing through water. "Maria?" a man's voice finally said. My chest tightened. I knew that voice. "Henry?" The line crackled, carrying a sound that could have been a sigh or a laugh. "You shouldn't have opened it." I froze. Opened what? No answer. Just the faint hum of an engine. The same hum that haunted every night since the vault. Then a whisper. "They're coming for the rest." The call ended. The phone screen went black, reflecting my own pale face, the flicker of streetlight outside making my eyes look like strangers. I set the phone on the counter. It vibrated once more and then died completely. No signal, no power. Just darkness. Outside, wind pressed against the windows, the sea's rhythm turning harsh. Somewhere, the kettle clicked again. Forgotten, like a ghost repeating its only trick. I couldn't stay, not after that voice. I grabbed the drive, Henry's coat, and stepped into the rain. The street was empty, except for the same black sedan, waiting like a patient animal. This time I didn't walk past it. I approached. The window rolled down halfway, no driver, just the faint glow of a phone screen on the passenger seat, playing the last words Henry had spoken to me alive. "I'll fix this, Maria. I promise." I stepped back, heart in my throat. The phone shut itself off. A soft whir of an automatic lock, and the car door clicked open, inviting me. I didn't get in. I just reached inside, took the phone, and ran. When I reached the end of the street, a text appeared on that same phone. Unknown. Pier. Midnight. Bring the drive. The letters looked like they were typed by Henry's hand, his slight spacing, the way he always double-tapped the period. But he was gone, and yet the message felt more real than anything around me. Midnight came fast. The pier stretched out, wet and glistening under the moon. I walked toward the end where the water churned against the pylons. Every footstep echoed twice, as if someone walked just behind me. "You came," a voice said. It wasn't Henry. It was Amelia Davenport. She stood under the dim light, rain misting her hair. "You shouldn't have answered that call," she said softly. "Then why did you make it?" I asked. "I didn't," she said, her voice barely audible over the sea. "Henry recorded messages for you. They used them." "They?" Clara's partners, the ones behind the company. He thought if he faked his own death, he could end it. But Headlights flared through the fog, swallowing her words. The sound of the engine drowned everything else. Amelia grabbed my wrist. Run. We sprinted toward the boathouse, but the engine grew louder. Tires screeched, a door slammed. Voices. 2 men shouting, 1 woman's order. Then silence. Amelia pushed me behind a pillar. If you get out, don't stop at the house. Go to the lighthouse. Henry left something there. What about you? She smiled, small and tired. Someone has to buy you time. I didn't want to leave, but I ran. Rain blinded me, waves slapping against the pier. I heard the gunshot before I saw her fall. A flash, a cry. Then her body dropped against the wood. I turned, but another voice shouted, "Stop." The sedan door flew open again. A figure stepped out, face hidden beneath a hood. "Maria," the voice called. Female. Commanding. I knew it instantly. "Clara." She stepped into the light, rain streaking down her face, eyes hollow. "You shouldn't have stayed out of it, Mom." I froze. "What did they do to you?" She laughed, broken and bitter. "They told me the truth, about Dad, about you. You were never the victim."
That's not true. Then why did he hide everything from you? Why did he leave his name off every deed? Her voice cracked. He wasn't protecting you. He was protecting her, Amelia. I shook my head, words catching in my throat. That's a lie. Clara took a step closer. Maybe, but it's the one that paid for everything you have. Behind her, the men moved closer. One carried something metallic, an external drive identical to mine. They'll take it from you, I said quietly. They already have, she whispered. For a second, through the rain, I saw her the way she used to look, barefoot, clutching her father's camera, eyes full of questions instead of answers. Then she said, "Do it." I plugged the drive into the car's dashboard port. The screen lit up instantly, flooding the interior with light. Lines of code streamed across the display faster than I could read. Then the stereo hissed, and Henry's voice filled the car once more. "If you're hearing this, it means the company failed. It means she's found you. Clara, don't believe what they told you. The story you're protecting, it isn't ours. It's hers." Clara's lips parted. "What does that mean?" Before I could answer, the car's lights flickered. The dashboard displayed one final message, transfer complete. Then everything went black. The men outside shouted. The sedan's doors locked themselves. I grabbed Clara's arm. "We have to go." We pushed the door open and ran into the rain. Behind us, the car engine roared back to life, unmanned, and rolled straight into the sea. The splash echoed like thunder. Clara stood frozen, staring at the water. "It's gone," I said, clutching her hand. "No, it's only just begun." Lightning flared across the horizon, revealing the lighthouse in the distance. Its single beam blinked once, faint but deliberate, a signal. We turned toward it and started walking. The wind howled, and behind us, the black sedan's headlights flickered one last time beneath the waves, like eyes refusing to close. The rain eased as we reached the hill. The lighthouse stood tall, its door slightly open, light pulsing from within. Clara stopped at the threshold. "Mom, if what he said is true, then who's she?" I looked at her, then at the drive still clutched in my hand. "We'll find out inside." Together, we stepped into the light. The door shut behind us with a heavy thud. Somewhere above, a voice crackled through an old radio, soft, familiar, and impossibly calm. The signal hissed. The voice fractured, part Clara, part someone else. "Welcome home, Maria." The light blinked twice, and then everything went dark. The next morning, the tide washed up a broken piece of plastic on the beach, half of a USB drive. Engraved faintly across its surface were 3 letters: H to M, Henry to Maria. That's all it ever was. A message that waited too long to be heard. The storm had passed, but silence never came back. The ocean below the cliffs groaned like it still remembered the night before. Wind hissed through the broken fence, whispering across wet rocks, and every sound felt sharper, too close. The lighthouse waited ahead, its beam flickering in slow, uncertain pulses, like a dying heartbeat trying to find its rhythm again. I didn't know if I was shivering from the cold or from what waited inside. Clara walked beside me, quiet, her hands buried in her sleeves. When we reached the door, it opened before I touched it, just a breath of air and a soft click, like something had been expecting us. Inside, the air smelled of rust and old salt. Maps curled on the walls, their edges browned with age. A single table sat beneath a hanging bulb, and on it rested a tape recorder. Beside it, an envelope marked in Henry's handwriting, Maria. The sight of his name made my stomach twist. He had been here not years ago, but recently. Clara whispered, "Mom, maybe don't," but I was already tearing it open. Inside, a brass key, cold and heavy, and a note in his hurried scrawl. "If you're reading this, the lighthouse is awake. The key opens what I couldn't bury. Don't listen to her voice. It's not yours anymore." The light flickered once. The tape recorder clicked on by itself. "Maria." Henry's voice rasped through static, soft, strained, fading. "I didn't die where they said I did. The crash, they staged it. Amelia knew. She tried to warn you. The company doesn't end with Clara. It begins with her." The tape hissed, faltered, then continued weaker. "If you found the lighthouse, you're already in the archive. It listens." Clara backed away. "What does that mean?" Before I could answer, the bulb above us flashed red. The floor vibrated, a low hum crawling under my skin. The voice changed. Still Henry, but something else behind it, layered and female. "She's in the system now," it said. "Turn it off before—" Static swallowed the rest. Then another voice slipped through, calm, familiar. "Welcome back, Maria." Clara's breath hitched. "That's my voice." I shook my head slowly. "No, it isn't." The sound came from everywhere, walls, vents, floorboards. "You've carried his secrets long enough. Now carry mine." The table rattled, the maps peeled from the walls like skin. The brass key in my hand warmed, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Mom," Clara whispered, "what is this place?" Something Henry built, and something she finished. We followed the hum upward. The spiral staircase groaned beneath our feet. Every few steps a whisper echoed from above. "Find the truth, find the truth." At the top, the control room waited. Circular, glass-walled, soaked in dim red light. Screens flickered along every wall, looping fragments of our lives. The vault, the beach house, the boathouse. Always us. Clara's voice trembled. "They've been watching." One monitor glitched, and my own face appeared. I was standing in our kitchen, holding the phone, saying words I never remembered. "They're coming for the rest." It was my voice, but I had never said it. They cloned us. Voices, memories, turned into code. On the desk sat a small black console labeled archive key interface. I slid the brass key inside. The screens blinked black. Then, one by one, images reappeared, but different. Henry on the beach, Clara as a child, barefoot in the tide, laughter, sunlight, the kind of memory that hurts to remember. Then the laughter bent into static. The light dimmed to gray. Henry's voice fractured into that same female tone. He thought he could hide it in her bloodline. Clara staggered back. "Mom, what does that mean?" Before I could answer, a cabinet creaked open, stacked with hard drives, each labeled by year. The last one? 2023. M. Collins. My name. The hum deepened. I reached out. A spark jumped from the drive to my skin. The lights flickered. Every monitor flashed the same words. Download initiated. Clara gripped my arm. "Mom!" Through the noise, a voice, calm, synthetic, almost gentle, whispered, "The system doesn't record life. It records guilt." "Pull the key!" I shouted. We yanked it free. White light flooded everything. Screens shattered. My ears filled with ringing. Not loud, just endless. Then silence. When the light dimmed, smoke clung to the air like breath. "Is it over?" Clara asked. I turned to the console. Every screen was dead except one. A single line blinked. Transfer successful. Location unknown. "Not yet," I said. We stumbled down the stairs. The door that had locked behind us now stood open. Outside, dawn bled gray across the sky. The sea looked calm, but the wind still carried a faint electric hum. Clara stopped halfway down the path. "Mom, look." Half buried in the fan, a phone screen glowed, cracked, flickering. Mine. I picked it up. A message scrolled across the display. "The archive never sleeps." I almost smiled. Then neither do we. We turned away from the lighthouse. Behind us, its beam blinked once every few seconds, steady, alive, watching. As we walked, the wind shifted, and for a moment I could swear I heard it again, the calm, patient voice that had haunted every message. "Good morning, Maria." It sounded like Clara. It sounded like me. It sounded like both. And this time, I didn't answer. But as we reached the car, my phone buzzed once more. Faint, vibrating against my palm. New message. No sender. Just one line. "If you stop now, she wins." The wind fell silent. The lighthouse light froze mid-spin. And somewhere behind us, something metallic clicked. 3 slow, deliberate taps. Because some voices don't fade. They follow. The road home looked scrubbed clean by rain. Too clean, like someone had rewritten the night. Fog crawled inland from the cliffs, thick and deliberate, erasing everything behind us. Maybe that's what I wanted. To forget what we'd seen, to pretend Henry's voice hadn't followed us back. For miles, Claire and I said nothing. The wipers kept time with our thoughts. Every few minutes, my phone buzzed once. No caller ID, just the world refusing to let go. When the house finally appeared through the fog, it didn't feel like ours. The curtains in the upstairs window moved, though the air outside was perfectly still. Inside, everything smelled wrong, rain, metal, faint burnt dust. The kettle clicked off by itself. That sound used to mean comfort. Now it only meant the past hadn't noticed it was gone. Clara dropped her bag. Do you think it's really done? I wanted to tell her yes, but the phone in my hand buzzed again, one deliberate vibration. A voicemail. 3 taps. Then Henry's voice. Calm, grave, unavoidable. Maria, if you've come this far, you already know what they wanted. The archive wasn't made to preserve memories. It was made to rewrite them. Of course he'd say that. He never built things for comfort, only for obedience. The message ended. The TV blinked on by itself, static, then our old beach photo. Only now Henry was gone from it. Just Clara and me smiling at empty space. Mom, it's changing. Lights dimmed. The laptop on the counter lit up, humming like a living thing. A folder appeared. Archive backup/C hold. My chest tightened. I clicked. Hundreds of recordings filled the screen, each tagged Maria or Clara. The newest file read, today, 08:17 a.m. I opened it. Our voices poured out, not from the past, but from right now. I clicked it, my voice said, exactly as I said it. Then the next line came before I spoke it, a full sentence ahead. It was predicting us. Clara's breath hitched. Mom, it's talking first. The monitor split in 2, half showing us as we stood, half the same kitchen, decades older. The walls sagging, light gone gray. Henry's voice bled through both screens, warped and echoing. The archive doesn't end when you stop it. It waits for replacement. A metallic clink pulled my eyes to the counter. The brass key from the lighthouse, still warm from my pocket. Its engraving shimmered beneath the flicker, but I didn't look. Not yet. Clara stepped forward. It's meant for me. Don't, I warned. Not until we know what it wants. She stopped, but the air shifted, like the house had exhaled. The computer fans roared. Files vanished line by line. Every deletion scraped something out of me. A scent, a color, the sound of Henry laughing. My memories, my voice cracked. It's taking them. The air grew hotter, thick with the smell of ozone and wet metal. Clara's hands flew across the keyboard. There's a failsafe. Dad left. The speaker snapped alive. A voice neither human nor machine whispered, you were never meant to see the end, Maria. The brass key trembled on the counter. It rolled toward me. I caught it. It burned against my skin, alive. The engraving cleared. Not letters, a single symbol, an infinity sign split clean through the center. The voice returned, calm, almost kind. Legacy requires balance. One must remember. One must forget.
A thin white beam traced the ceiling, scanning. The hum deepened. The archive was choosing. Clara's whisper cracked. It's me, isn't it? I met her eyes, terrified and defiant. No, it's deciding what story survives. The beam drifted between us. For a heartbeat, she looked 12 again, barefoot in the surf, clutching Henry's camera, eyes full of wonder. If one of us has to forget, she whispered, let it be me. Then the lights blew out. Total darkness. I reached for her hand. Nothing. 3 taps from inside the wall. Clara. Silence. Then a breath, electric, through the speakers. Blue light bled from the laptop. One line blinked. Final record upload complete. Below it, a folder formed. M_C_transfer. Our names merged. I touched the screen. It felt wet, almost breathing. Then Clara's voice, older, steadier, came through. "Mom, if you hear this, don't follow. Finish it." The screen went black. I sank to the floor, clutching the key. My phone buzzed again. "Do you want to delete the archive?" Yes. No. Lightning cracked. The house glowed silver. In the window, my reflection appeared, and behind it, another face. Henry's voice whispered close. "Truth is never erased, only rewritten." The phone shook harder, the words blurred, collapsing into one command: "Run." The walls groaned, not from the storm, but from inside the wires. Every screen in the house exploded to life, all showing Clara at every age, every smile, every silence, each one watching me. The brass key turned scarlet in my hand. The air stank of burning circuits and salt water. Then all the voices spoke together, overlapping in perfect unison. "It's still listening." The windows shattered open. The sea screamed through the rooms. I ran. Down the hallway, out the door. Through fog so dense it felt alive. At the cliff's edge, I turned back. The house blazed with light, the windows pulsing like lungs. Far beyond it, the lighthouse flickered awake, then another beside it. My phone rang. Caller ID. Henry Collins. I pressed accept. "Hey, Maria," he whispered. "You did it." Tears blurred the horizon. Did what? Set it free. The line cracked. From the sea, twin beams crossed like eyes opening. The call ended, but the screen kept glowing. End of recording. Reboot and 72 hours. I stared until dawn crept through the fog, painting everything pale. Below, the waves struck the rocks in perfect rhythm, 3 slow taps. And beneath it, faint and close, a familiar voice murmured, "Good morning, Maria." I turned toward the sound, and this time, I answered. Static fills the screen. A line types itself across the dark. Archive, Generation 2, initializing, subject, Clara Collins, status, awake. 3 measured taps. Then, silence.